Hello everybody and welcome to PrivateEnglishPortal.com. My name is Steve Ford and you've come to Test Preparation 11. My online English student Maria from Spain has a question about singular versus plural. She would like to know how she can fix common mistakes that people make in writing and speaking on the IELTS test. This also counts for all of my TOEFL students, so listen up. My first point has to do with plural conjugations of collective nouns. This counts for the United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand. When you take collective nouns such as government, police, and staff, you want to make sure in British English that you use the plural conjugation. That would mean the government are, the police are, the staff are. Contrast that with American English where they would say the government is, the police is, and staff is. So you want to be very careful if you're doing the IELTS test to use those plural conjugations with collective nouns. My second very important piece of advice has to do with plural, irregular, countable nouns. Now, you don't need to know all of the jargon, but you do need to know how to use them. So if we have child, the plural of child is children. Don't say the children is. This is a very common trap to fall into in speaking and in writing. You want to be very careful that you do not say the people is. You want to say the people are, the children are. Those are conjugated just like the subject pronoun they. So be very careful with that. You do have some irregularities in academic English with regard to people. You can say persons, but it takes on a totally different meaning. Persons in this case means individuals. You can also see peoples in a higher level of English. Peoples means different races of people. So once again, they have different meanings. So don't fall into the trap of using persons or peoples in the wrong context. Point number 3 has to do with irregular non-count nouns. Let's take a few examples. Furniture, advice, information. Now in many of your languages, those nouns are countable. But in English, they're not. And students sometimes are pulling their hair out trying to differentiate what is countable and what is non-countable. Now, there's a very easy thing that you can do with those 3 nouns that I mentioned. You can make them all countable by putting a piece. So you could say a piece of information, a piece of advice, or a piece of furniture. My 4th point has to do with correlative conjunctions. Neither nor, either or neither nor, either or. You want to make sure that you are using the subject just before the second part of the correlative conjunction to determine the conjugation of the verb. For example, if you say, neither my son nor my daughter has traveled to the UK yet, you can see that we are taking the conjugation of have, third person singular, because of daughter. It comes just before the second part of the correlative conjunction. Now this also counts if you look at the way that we conjugate it if one of the nouns mentioned is plural. So if you change that to neither my son nor my daughters have visited the UK, then once again we're taking the noun daughters just before the second correlative conjunction, and you want to make sure that it's plural. So that can be your rule of thumb for determining how you should conjugate using neither nor or either or. Now there is another correlative conjunction which uses the collective conjugation of both nouns. Both. So if you say both and, another example of a correlative conjunction, let's take that same example. Both my son and daughter have visited England before. both my son and daughter become they. So we can say that the correlative conjunction both and makes the conjugation plural. Think about that. How are you using the correlative conjunctions in each case with regard to the conjugation? My fifth golden tip to you with regard to singular versus plural has to do with a question which comes up a lot during my online classes. Many times my students want to know how should they conjugate everybody, somebody, someone, everyone, anyone. In all of those cases, you want to conjugate them in the third person singular. Okay, Maria? So I hope that helps you understand a little more singular versus plural. There are books and books about it, but I try to focus on the ones that come up during my classes so that I can take our practical information and give it to you to save you time. Because I know a lot of you are working very hard. You come home and you sit in front of your computer trying to find some extra information to help you do a successful IELTS or TOEFL test or even Cambridge. So I am very, very certain that these tips will save you time and you will be able to apply them when you are doing your speaking and writing section. So good luck, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Singular versus plural. Be careful how you use it. Singular versus plural. Collective nouns. The government. The police. The staff. The government is. The police is. The staff is. Singular versus plural, be careful how you use it. Singular versus plural, irregular plural nouns. Person, people, child, children. Person is, people are, child is, children are. Singular versus plural, be careful how you use it. Singular versus plural, non-count plural nouns. Information, advice, furniture. A piece of information, a piece of advice, a piece of furniture. Singular versus plural, be careful how you use it. Singular versus plural, certain pronouns. Somebody, someone, nobody, no one, anybody, anyone. Somebody, someone, nobody, no one, anybody, anyone is. Singular versus plural, be careful how you use it. Singular versus plural.